3.5 minutes, and I'll go ahead and bring us into session. Louis, we live streaming in here.
Yes, I just clicked it. Just started.
Okay, very well.
I doubt it.
We're muted, sorry.
I don't know where that racket is, but somebody's banging something.
There's Jay walking away.
Jay, we got to watch our background noise because it's sure coming through over here anyway. He must be going up a set of stairs.
Yep, sorry.
Are you through bouncing around? Okay. Here we go. You ready, Dory? Good afternoon, everyone. We are trying something different today. We're coming through, this board meeting is being held through Zoom. As we move forward in this, the agenda, if you have a question concerning an agenda item as we go through it, or at the end of the meeting, you hit *9, and that'll throw a flag up where we can see that you have a comment that you want to make. Other than that, the board is meeting is going to probably move forward as it has in the past. I'm going to ask Jason Cook to provide the invocation, and then I'll stand and make the pledge. It's kind of hard from where a lot of you are at. There's no flag present or whatever, but we'll do that. So, Mr. Cook, would you go ahead with the invocation?
Let us pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you for your kindness, your goodness, and your mercy towards us. I pray for our nation and our state and our county, God, for this COVID-19 crisis. I pray your protection would be upon us. God, I pray for all those that are sick, that you would speedily heal them. I ask for wisdom and knowledge for these commissioners, and that you would just help this meeting go smooth, and that you would move in a mighty way, that every decision would be done for the glory of God and be in your perfect will. We ask it all in your precious holy name, Jesus. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. All right. We are all in different locations throughout the county. There is a slight delay in response from the panelists, which is the commissioners and some staff. So bear with me. We have to make sure that Dory can get an accurate record. So speak up whenever if you want to make a comment and let you be recognized. All right. With that said, I call the meeting to order. First up, Ms. Sid, I think this is your item.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Are you fine? Yes, ma'am. Hear you good. Go ahead.
Commissioner Chapman, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go.
Okay. Sorry about that. So this item would be to approve an emergency order adopting the use of communications media technology to hold county meetings, like we're doing here with the Zoom meetings. Such meetings are authorized by an executive order that's been signed by the governor. That's Executive Order 20-69.
Okay. Well, entertain a motion to approve this.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve.
All right, y'all stepping on each other.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Tony.
is there a time limit on that request just for today's meeting, or is it meetings going forward?
It will remain in effect as long as we have a local state of emergency in place.
Okay. All right, now I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. So moved.
Motion to approve.
I got 3 motions to approve. I need a second from one of you.
Well, I'll second it.
All right, now, Dory has got Trey as the motion, Danny is the second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Man. All right, Mr. Jones, I think you're up on these additions and deletions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, we would like to delete number 9, which was a purchase of a ice machine for the sports complex. There were some discrepancies in the contract and the way it was written, and some things there that needed to be changed. We provided those changes to the vendor, but have not heard back from them, so we would ask that you remove that from the consent agenda. Also, on the consent agenda, this would be an addition. Is a request to approve and authorize the chair to sign and send a letter of support for the Florida Department of Health in Walton County, for the County Health Department, Community Health Center, application for HRS capital assistance for disaster relief and recovery efforts. This is a funding request. The announcement is HRS A20-097. That is at the request of the Health Department, Ms. Holt. That would be an addition under the consent agenda. And then under admin would be a request to approve for staff to pursue funding options to include loan funding for the broadband project. And we'll discuss that when we get to administration.
Okay. All right, what's the board's wishes?
Approve. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. All right. Commissioner Glidewell, motion. Commissioner Nick. This is, the motion is to delete number 9 and the 2 additions under the consent agenda. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Danny, you need to take about 10 octaves down off of yours. You're blowing us out up here. Okay. All right, well, next up is approval of the agenda with...
We got a good mic.
Approval of the agenda with additions. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
That's Commissioner Nipper
Motion to approve. Second.
and Commissioner Glidewell, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. It sounds like it. Okay. All right. This is the time for public comment on any agenda item only. If you wish to make a comment, hit *9 so we can recognize you. See none. So we'll move on. Is there any items to be removed from the consent agenda for further discussion? Seeing none. Approve. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Go. Where you at, Tony? Okay.
I will recuse myself from the consent agenda vote because I have a conflict of interest with one of the items. and I have filed the proper paperwork with the clerk.
So good, okay. All right, now I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Agenda.
Motion to,
Okay, we got Commissioner Nick, motion, and Commissioner Nipper as a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It'd be a 4-0 vote.
aye.
All right, next is the Waste Management EAL. I'll acknowledge my conflict of interest. I have filed the proper form with the clerk and will abstain from the vote. So I need a motion to approve the Waste Management.
Motion to approve.
That's Glidewell.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Glidewell, I got it. Glidewell, motion. Tony, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0,
Aye.
one abstention. All right, Mr. Jones, it's under administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. The first item is the COVID-19 update. Sid, do we want to take care of the extension of the emergency status at this
Yes.
time, or do it later?
We can do it after the update if you'd like, but
Okay.
we will need to extend the local state of emergency.
Well, why don't
Okay.
we go ahead,
And,
why don't we go ahead and get that out of the way? The local state emergency, go ahead. That's,
Mr. Chairman, we may have some changes
okay,
based on,
all right,
just so I think it would probably be better to wait and just
Okay.
see what's said here in case there's anything that needs to change.
okay. All right,
Ms. Holt, Ms. Holland,
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to give a couple of updates. Basically, for Florida positives, today, 21,367 individuals so far for the state of Florida. And in Walton County, we've had 29 positives up to today. 19 of those individuals have been female, and 10 are male. The municipalities that we have that have had the positive cases have been Santa Rosa Beach, Miramar Beach, Freeport, Defuniak Springs, and Laurel Hill, which is a Walton County address. And the age range is still 20 years to 90 years. That's basically the update I have for today, unless you have any questions for me.
any questions for Holly from the board? Okay, Holly, has there been any additional recommendations or changes in the present policies and all in the county that we need to be considering?
No, sir, nothing new. Our message to everybody is still continue social distancing. And I know there had been some questions about masks, wearing of masks, and that's come down from the CDC. It's basically to protect others from you. And they're just basic surgical masks. They're the masks that people are making right now, which all that information has come off of the CDC website. But for right now, social distancing, being careful with your hands, not to touch your face, washing your hands, just the basic information that we've given out over the past couple of weeks, we're continuing to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Sheriff?
Chairman, I would like to say thank you to Ms. Holland for every day being diligent to forward me the new numbers or to confirm that the number is remained the same, which we've been proud to see over the last few days. And if you look at our neighbors on either side, it's kind of scary what's going on there. So somebody here is doing a good job, and I certainly want to give her accolades for the work they're doing. And the updates you get from me daily come from her.
All
So
right.
we do want to say thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. Aside from the board having to do what it has to do,
Mr. Chairman?
the people out there are doing their job too. Majority of the public is adhering to our recommendations and CDC and what have you. So we appreciate their efforts and their understanding. We're all in this together. It's unfortunate that it's happening, but we're having to deal with it. Mr. Glidewell, I think you wanted something.
I was just going to ask you to have Ms. Holt repeat what she said about the mask. I didn't quite get that.
Okay. I'll try to lean a little closer to the phone. Just the basic mask that you're hearing people talk about from the CDC guidance, they're not the N95. They're basically surgical masks or masks that you can actually make off of the CDC website. There's some information there. But people have asked me, is that something that they should be wearing? And the only thing I can tell them is that it does protect others against you. It doesn't protect you from somebody else. It keeps the mask, keeps everything inside from sharing the wealth, I call it, with everybody else in the community. So that encouragement has come down from the CDC, and that's just one of the things I wanted to mention this morning or this afternoon.
All right, thank you. Larry?
Yes, sir.
All right, unless you have an objection, I'll have the sheriff step in here and see if he's got any updates for us.
Mr. Chairman, I think Mr. Nick had a comment.
Is that right?
I didn't have a comment.
Okay.
All right. Sheriff, would you give us an update as how this is happening on your side?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Listen, it's been extremely busy, as you knew it would be. We are finding mostly compliance. I mean, I think everybody's trying hard to be compliant. Our local folks are really banding together to, get us through this. Now, there's an understanding that nobody likes this. You don't like it. We don't like it. The community doesn't like it. However, I've been really, really pleased by and large with the overwhelming community support involved in this. Obviously, it's unfortunate we had to spend time, as several of you spent with us yesterday, in a federal hearing with Judge Vinson. His ruling, which obviously validated the actions taken by the board a week or so ago, that was certainly positive news in our ability to carry out and be uniformed in the presentation of the ordinance. Again, by and large, publicly well received. We are trying to educate every chance we get. We are trying to manage this with the exception of one or two addresses. We've had pretty much universal compliance. Now, we have had some people that want to, and really at one particular location, and we're addressing and dealing with them as necessary.
Okay.
But I'll take any questions the board has.
Any questions for the sheriff? I don't see any, Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
It's Nipper. Sheriff, how are we doing as far as not walking on the beach?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Commissioner, we're getting compliance. People are not going down on the beach. I mean, we have had some exceptions. People are calling us about it, and they're sending pictures when they see people. But I think that kind of speaks to the overwhelming community support. In other words, saying they are really, for lack of a better way of putting it, policing themselves. So they are calling us. And what we've said is, listen, we'll go down there, we'll try and talk to them. At this point, everybody knows the beaches are closed. I would find it hard to believe that you don't know the beaches are closed at this point. And we'll try and deal with that appropriately. But, again, pretty much overwhelming compliance.
Okay.
And how are the sidewalks and boardwalks? Are people able to keep their distance? Are people staying away from each other? Because I'm getting a lot of emails saying, you took away our beaches, and now you're forcing us to not be able to social distance. I don't know how true that is.
I don't know how factually accurate that is. I mean, people are going up and down the boardwalks. We did have some people that were camping out in the boardwalks, and I think that was where some of the problems came. I think the actions taken to close the parking lots, helped a lot with that. And by and large, people up and down the bike paths or the boardwalks, I don't see that being a major concern at all at this point. It seems people aren't gathering up there. I mean, really, I think a lot of people have gotten in the mindset of this is what we have to do. If we can do this for a couple more weeks, the sooner we can cut this thing off and make it available for everybody. And I do think, Commissioner, I would say this. I think everybody understands that we don't want to be out there doing this, but this is our responsibility. It's what we signed up for, and we're going to do it as carry out our duties as professionally, with as much customer service as we can, and we're going to be as nice to people as they'll let us be. So,
All right. Thank you.
All right.
thank you.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Okay, I don't see any or hear any. Is there any public comment concerning this? If you've signed in or called in, hit *9, and that way we'll know that you want to have, who is it?
It's Gabriel Mayer, I think. You ready for her to talk?
Go ahead. Miss Mayer, are you there? Hello? Miss Mayer.
I have her unmuted. I have her unmuted.
I don't know. Can you hear me, Mrs. Mayer? Gabriel Mayer? Can you hear me? I don't know. Go ahead and mute it. Can't get her to talk. Is there any others you see on there?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Unless the board's got some additional questions concerning that, we'll move on to item number 24. Mr. Jones.
Let's go back to finish this one up, Mr. Chairman, on the state of emergency and get that nailed down. So just let me ask, so as we prepare this, we have clear understanding that we're not looking to make any changes to the directions that we're operating under today. The closed beaches, closed parks, open boat ramps, other closings that we may have. There's no indication from any of you that you want to see any of that change. So though, whatever needs to be reflected can be reflected in the local state of emergency. Is that accurate?
That sounds accurate to me. I think what we've put in place in the past, we should keep it going. It seems to be working, so I don't see any reason to change it at this time. So with that said, anything else, Mr. Jones?
That'll be all. Just to Ms. Noyes to handle the local state of emergency.
Right. All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion to continue the present state of emergency. Sid, that's 7 days, if I ain't mistaken.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said it's to extend it for an additional 7 days. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is anyone making a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Got Commissioner Anderson, motion. Commissioner Glidewell, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Motion carries. Okay, now number 24.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have been requested for you to consider an exemption from outdoor events for farmers markets. We've done, staff, Dee Dee in particular, has done a lot of research on what's allowable, what's not allowable. From our review, we believe that farmers markets are considered essential in the greater scheme of things of what's going on around us. And if it takes a suspension of permits to allow them to open, we would be in support of that.
Very well. Okay. What's the board's wishes?
Question, Mr. Chairman, what's the guidance from CDC?
It's the farmer's market.
It's in your package. We've got, you've got a letter from Holly Holt. You've got the executive order from the governor that mentions it. You've got
I didn't see.
advisory memorandum on identification of essential and critical services. Then you've got essential critical infrastructure workforce. That says workers support groceries, farmers, convenience stores, and other retail, including unattended and vending that sells human food, animal, pet food, and pet supplies and beverages products, including retail, customer support service, and information technology necessary for online orders. So we think that covers the farmers market component. And then there's an ordinance from Miami-Dade that refers to another governor's executive order. So we think there's plenty of evidence that shows that they still have to maintain the social distancing and do the things that are prudent to keep people from gathering in large gatherings. But as laid out, we see it as a acceptable essential service.
I make a motion to approve.
Have you got a motion?
Second.
I got a second. Got him?
Second.
All right. Public
Mr. Chairman,
Yo,
could I speak?
go ahead.
I would like to hear what the sheriff's point of view is on this, as far as his concerns, if he has any, or if he thinks this is okay, or and I'm not against it. I'm not saying that. I just want to make sure that we seem to maybe have this stuff on the run a little bit, and I don't want to. I'm real cautious about opening things up where there's any kind of crowd that can gather. So I would like for him to weigh in on this.
All right, Mr. Anderson, if you would mind holding that for a minute, and Sheriff, if you could yield for just a second, unmute Miss Kalopanis. Miss Diane, I'll use that. And if you can hear me, Miss Diane, go ahead with your comments.
I can. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can. Go ahead.
Awesome. Hey, I'm Diane Kolopanis. I'm the owner and operator of the 38 Farmers Market. I do have farmers markets in Rosemary Beach, Grand Boulevard at Sandestin. We do have a market currently open in Niceville, which I believe Commissioner Trey Nix visited last weekend. I also have several others in the area. We are practicing CDC guidelines. We are distancing our vendors' tents, minimum of 6 to 10 feet apart. In addition to that, we do not allow the public to touch any of the products that are on the table. We wear gloves. We have wash stations. We have hand sanitizer when we can find it and it is available. So we are doing a lot of things. We are compliant, and we do feel that the farmers markets are a safer option than going to a grocery store. If you think about it, when you go into a grocery store, you are in a confined area. Thousands of people before you have touched the carts, they have touched the produce, they have touched many, many things that are in those stores. And with what we are doing and the guidelines we've set forth within our markets, we feel it is a safer environment to shop. With that being said, of course, Rosemary Beach, Grand Boulevard may want to wait until May 1st to reopen the markets at those locations. But we do have our farmers market in Niceville, which I think is a great example of what we've been doing and how compliant we are. I don't know if this would be possible or not. This may be something that would have to be considered at a later date. But let's say that we can't open the market. Rosemary Beach, I do contract with the homeowners association there, and Grand Boulevard would like to wait till May 1st. Would it be possible to do something in the parking lot of the high school, do a drive-through farmers market where cars do come through, which they are doing across the whole entire nation right now? There is so much food that farmers have grown that goes directly to restaurants, and with the restaurants closed down right now, food is rotting in the fields. And we do have to find ways to get food to the public, and I feel this would be a great opportunity. I don't know if you know this or not, but I do carry $2 million of insurance, and the county is added as an additional insured. So I have everything in place for a full turnkey farmers market. That's an option, if Grand Boulevard and Rosemary would like us to wait until May 1st to reopen the market.
Okay. Tony, does that answer your questions?
Somewhat. Ma'am, do your people wear masks?
We have gloves, and then this past week, Holly maybe can help me answer this. I know that the CDC is now recommending that all the vendors wear masks. So last week, probably 70% of our vendors were wearing masks. I am making it mandatory this weekend, starting on Friday, that all vendors do also wear the mask. And they all wear gloves as well.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Trey.
I did attend the farmers market at Palm Plaza in Niceville, and it is laid out very well, very spacious, very, very professional. I did not feel unprotected there, did not feel a fear of contacting the virus at all. I did like the way it was laid out. It was done, in my belief, the right way.
All right,
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that.
All right, Sheriff, any comments to Tony's question?
No, I mean, I would concur with the previous presenter. I think done the right way, following the guidelines, that would be something we certainly could support from that standpoint. That's really the main thing. And, when in open air businesses, that sounds like a good approach. And so I don't, again, I don't make policy, but I would generally say that makes sense to me.
All right, thank you. All right, any other
Mr.
questions?
Chairman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
That's all I needed. I'm not against this. I just wanted to make sure we're going to make it as safe as possible. So I've had my questions answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I believe we have a motion and a second on the floor to allow this. Now we got some more showed up. Okay, stand by one. Maggie, allow her. Maggie McCall? Yeah. Maggie McCall, are you there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Actually, I do apologize because this is not about the farmers market. I didn't realize I was only supposed to raise my hand to talk about that at the moment. My business is actually just curious to know if you have an idea of when the business might reopen in Walton County, but I can wait till the next thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Mike Goodchild. Mike Goodchild, can you hear me, Mike? Mike, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to concur with Diane. I've been getting a lot of calls from clients wanting to have the farmers market open, and UF is a big supporter of doing that. Because like she was saying, there's a lot of our crops rotting in the field, and we need to be moving them. So I'm in support of opening the farmers market. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else? I don't see any more on our screen up here wanting to speak to this issue. So with a motion and a second on the floor, all in favor say aye. Aye. All ayes. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Number 25, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is regarding the 50-acre parcel in Paxton that we've been trying to close on for several months. we believe we're finally to a point where we can ask you to approve it and to move forward. So we're asking you to consider approving the contract so that we can get it executed and bring you a closing date.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask Larry, with 5 acres upland and the other acres more than likely not being able to be permitted into a mitigation bank, and I know this adjoins some property that we own as a county, but what's the benefit at $100,000?
Mr. Jones.
The greatest benefit is open land. That there may only be 5 acres of upland, but there's 50 acres of wetlands or semi-wetlands that would allow for working with DEP, perhaps, and other agencies to create some educational experiences through boardwalks and other means and mechanisms to create a probably less than traditional park that we've seen in a number of places. Typically, there are grants available for those type facilities. So that would be the biggest reason. We don't know. Today, it may not be the best property for a mitigation bank, but there may be a day when it is ideal for one. But that would be my reasoning. I know that perhaps another commissioner too's had a great interest in it, and Mr. Sunday's worked closely with them. But that would be, to my knowledge, the reason we would look forward to moving it to a purchase.
Mr. Chairman?
Hang on a minute, Danny. Ms. Nipper, you got anything else you want to know?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Hidewell, go ahead.
I was just going to point out that the 5 acres of uplands is directly on Lake Road and also adjoins Lake Jackson. On the Florida side, we have very little land preserved right on Lake Jackson. This will give us a little bit more, and it'll give us the opportunity to put a park on the Florida side of Lake Jackson. And it also adjoins the 90 acres we are already developing into a park. So as Mr. Jones said, we can use this for boardwalks and nature experiences. That may not have to be done right now, but that gives us the option in the future. So I make a motion, we go ahead and authorize the chairman to sign the contract.
Okay, I got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Nick, second. Any other discussion? Any public comment? If you do, hit *9. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Nay.
4-1. Nay on Nipper. Okay, Mr. Jones, addition number 2.
Yes, sir. This is a request from staff to pursue funding options to include loan funding for the broadband project that will be coming to you at the next board meeting. This doesn't have anything to do with whether you vote to approve it or not, but in the event you would choose to vote to approve it, there must be a funding source available at the time that you execute an agreement or approve an agreement. This will allow us the opportunity, with your permission, to move forward to look at funding sources of an appropriate amount and appropriate timing to fund that project in the event that the board chose to approve the contract, execute the contract, and move it forward.
Okay.
So this action does not commit to anything other than granting permission to staff to move forward with the
funding source?
identification of funding options.
Okay. All right, what's the board's wishes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, Commissioner Glidewell, motion. Commissioner Nick, second. Any other discussion? Any public discussion? Star 9 if you do. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Mr. Jones, are you handling Public Works? Number 26.
Yeah, I think they were having difficulty logged in, but we can check to see if any of them are there.
Tell them to hit star 9 if they're there.
If they're there, hit star 9. Who we going to hear from, Buddy?
Yes, sir. And that's fine if they're not.
I don't see 'em.
What you have before you is an update on the dog park, including requested improvements. You've been provided a summary or an explanation of the history of where we are and how we got there today. If you look to the next page in your agenda packet, you see a list of improvements that they are recommending be made. Total for the improvements are $22,500. We certainly take action on this today. It's probably not the highest of priorities, but it is keeping some things moving along in the county. If you would rather hear it again a later date with a more thorough explanation, we can certainly schedule that. I don't believe the recommendation would change. We agreed to take the dog park, and we tasked Public Works for looking at it and making appropriate improvements. And I know they have met with some of the folks that use the dog park and use it regularly, and they have made some suggestions to them that they have utilized in their decision-making process. So it's the board's decision whether you want to move forward, whether you don't, or whether you want to table it for a later date.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Tony.
I would rather go ahead and let's do this today. I'm willing to, more than happy to, in fact, to take the money out of the rec plat fees to fund this project, and I will make that a motion. And I also think we need to go ahead and work on a name for the dog park. But I'll make the motion to take the rec plat fees out of my account and fund this project.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Okay, that's Tony on the motion, Trey on the second. Follow-up question, Tony. You want to leave it open-ended, or do you want it to not to exceed the $22,500 that they put out there?
I would say let's put it at $25,000 for right now, and then if they need more, they can come back.
Okay, so you'll modify your motion to...
I should cover anything they need right now, and if they need more, they can come back.
All right, so you modified your motion to go to $25,000?
Absolutely.
And Trey, do you second, you modify your second?
Yeah, I'll modify the second
Okay, all right,
to meet the 25,000.
very well. Is there any public comment? If you do, star 9. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?
Also, Mr. Chairman. Also, let's have for the next meeting, if the board will think of names for the South Walden Dog Park, and we can work on that at the next meeting.
All right, well, that's good. I don't think we finished our vote. We need to get that secondary to that. Let me have all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, 5-0, Ms. Story. All right, now, Tony, at your next time, you want it at the next board meeting, discussion about the name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so be it then. Okay, Mr. Jones, number 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to approve and authorize the chair to sign the interlocal agreement with the Choctaw Basin Alliance of Northwest Florida State College for exotic plant removal and habitat improvement in the county's rare coastal dune lakes. Total cost for this project is $30,000, and the funding is being requested from the board's discretionary coastal dune lake funds, which is a line item in the current year's budget. That's something that is very important when we talk about maintaining our coastal dune lakes, is to make sure that the exotic and non-native species plants are removed on a timely basis. So we would recommend using those funds as identified in the budget for that purpose.
Okay. What's the board's
Motion
wishes?
to approve.
That's Commissioner Nipper.
Second.
Commissioner Glidewell on the second. Any public comment? *9 if seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. I hear 3. We get ayes. I tell you what, let me try it this way. Commissioner Nick, your vote.
Aye.
Glidewell.
Aye.
Nipper.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
Chapman, aye. 5 of them. That seems to work out a lot better because sometimes you're talking over each other. And we got some delay in some of the screens here. So anyway, we have nothing for OMB. Jay Tusa, I see you sitting there. You want to give any type of update concerning?
Yes, sir. I'll give an update on the occupancy numbers for the board. So we've seen about a 55% reduction in paid occupancy over the past 2 weeks, and we've seen just about a 15% reduction in owner-occupied occupancy over the past 2 weeks. Looking forward, over about the next 3 weeks for paid, we're looking at about 4%. And then after the executive order expires by the governor, we're starting to see a little bit of a creep up for the first couple of weeks of May. We're looking at about 10% occupancy for paid. And then the owner-occupied, that just is pretty flat. It's staying at about 10 to 15% over the next month.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Jay from the board? All right, very well. Ms. Sid, you haven't got anything other than what?
No, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Glidewell, you have anything?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Nipper?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Nick?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Anderson?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
And I have nothing at this time. All right. Next up is public comment. If anybody wants just to make a public comment, hit *9 so we can see who it is. If you got any public comment about anything, any item, hit *9. Okay. Yeah. This is Miss McCall. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
So my business is just curious to know when you guys are thinking the beaches might reopen once the stay-at-home order is completed. Do you have an idea of that at all?
Not at this time. We do not. We're basing. We'll probably be basing our recommendation or whatever action we may take, what comes from the CDC and or the health department or both, as to what is the appropriate time to open this up. My personal concern is if we move too quick and start opening up, and if we're on the downward trend, we could have a spike that goes back, and then we're right back where we are today. So I'm going to depend upon the experts, health experts, to help this board decide when we should relax what's in place right now.
Do you know, like, when you guys are going to decide to chat about this topic again, just so we have an idea of when we can be on alert for something like this, seeing as it's so critical to our business?
No, ma'am, I don't have a time frame for you. We will probably at our next board meeting, which is the 28th of this month, there will be additional considerations. The governor's orders and all are in place through April the 30th. We don't have any idea if there's going to be an extension of his executive orders or not. He waited to the 11th hour this past weekend to extend the short-term rentals for additional, when it took it all the way to the 30th. And so we don't know what his plan is, if it's going to continue past the end of the month, and whatever else may be happening. So if you're looking for a definitive answer as to when it's going to be relaxed and all that, we're not at that stage of the game to make that decision.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Megan Harrison. Can you hear me, Megan?
I can, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you. Megan Harrison, CEO of the Walton Area Chamber of Commerce. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank each of you for your consideration of updating the executive order as you did last week to include the language relating to the property damage. We've been sending that to our business community and have been getting some great feedback and appreciation from everyone that we've shared that with. So I just wanted to take an opportunity on the record to thank all of you for your consideration and for making that happen so quickly.
All right. Well, Megan, we appreciate your comments. Thank you. All right. I got one more here. It's a telephone number. I'm going to read it out. So whoever it is, 323-797-0111. If that's your number, go ahead and speak.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner and all the council members. My name is Matt Picaglia.
Okay, Matt.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your time today. I'm the owner of the...
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
Spell your last name for the clerk, please.
My last name is spelled B as in boy, A-T-T-A-G-L-I-A. First name is Matt.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm the owner. Thank you. I'm the owner of the 3 acres that is on State Highway 20, adjacent to Nick's Restaurant. It is a piece of property that I had put under contract a year ago. Prior to me closing on the property, I had presented or had a civil engineer present this property to the county commissioners about the possibility of making this into a park. I was not there to speak on my behalf. A local resident made the insinuation that a developer was trying to double his money, and that was never the case. However, here I am a year later. I have received a development order to turn these 3 acres into 6 vacant lots on the bay. I still believe the best use for the community is for a portion or all of these 3 acres to be made into a park. But before I spend additional funds to adding septic tanks, etc., I wanted to rebroach it to the county commissioners a year later and see if the community or the commissioners would have any interest of these 3 acres being a park. It is land that is not in a flood zone. It does not have any big hardwoods. It has water already to the property, stubbed out, and it's, again, been approved for 6 lots. So I know this is a decision you guys cannot make today, but it's been a year since I've submitted anything to you. I just wanted to bring it back to your attention, and it's unfortunate. It's during the time that we are all living with COVID-19, but I wanted to at least introduce it again.
Okay. Well, Matt, you're right. It's not something that we'll even probably discuss today or take any action on.
Yes.
Aside, that's low level as far as I'm concerned due to the fact of what's going on. The other thing is we're looking at a shortfall for the rest of this fiscal year. Nobody's traveling, nobody's buying anything other than groceries, no large ticket items. So our sales tax revenue, which funds a significant portion of our county budget, is going to be impacted. Our finance director is also in the present time trying to crunch the numbers. Last I heard, it's going to be in the millions of dollars that we're going to be shortfalled. And so at this present time, we just can't look at it as a possibility. Now, that could change if things open up pretty quick and things recover quick, but we appreciate you at least putting the offer on the table. We'll look at it at a later time. Is the board got any?
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time and prayers to all of you and your families.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, is there any other public comments? Star 9. Seeing none. There's nothing else. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we got a Tony on the motion. I think Commissioner Nipper is a second. We are adjourned. Thank you. Probably a second and a half behind everybody else. We got to figure out how to do that. But thanks again. First time out, I thought it went pretty good. So thank y'all again.